We tend to think of our minds as being like cameras, just passively recording the world exactly as it is. But what if that's just not true? What if your mind is more like an active participant, maybe even a co-author of your reality? Well, let's get into it, because today we're exploring how your beliefs and your perceptions don't just interpret reality, they can actually actively shape it.
And we're going to start with a question that honestly gets right to the heart of this whole thing. It might sound a little out there, but seriously, can a simple negative belief actually make you physically ill? All right, first up, we're going to look inside our own bodies with a paradox that shows just how incredibly powerful our expectations really are.
So this phenomenon is called the nocebo effect. Now, you've probably heard of its much more famous cousin, the placebo effect, right? That's where a positive belief can literally lead to healing. Well, the nocebo is its dark twin. It's what happens when a negative expectation, like, say, being warned about a potential side effect, actually causes that negative physical outcome to happen.
Yeah, this really lays out the two sides of the same coin. On one side, you've got the good twin, the placebo effect, where the mind heals. A simple sugar pill can actually reduce pain, just because you believe it will. But then you have the evil twin, the nocebo, where the mind harms. Just the belief that something will hurt you can create real, measurable symptoms. It's kind of mind-blowing. It's proof that your mind isn't just in your head. It is deeply physically connected to your well-being.
Okay, so it's pretty clear our internal beliefs can have very real physical consequences. But does that power just stop at our own skin? I mean, could our perception of the social world around us be just as skewed, just as actively shaped by forces we don't even see?
And now we're moving from our own bodies to our social circles, with a paradox that, well, it might feel a little too real for some of us. This one's called the friendship paradox, and it makes a very simple and, kind of uncomfortable claim. On average, your friends are more popular than you are. And no, it is not just in your head, it's a mathematical certainty.
So, how on earth is that possible? Well, it all comes down to how social networks are built. Think about it. Some people are social hubs with tons and tons of friends. Because they have so many connections, you're just way more likely to be friends with one of them than with someone who only has a couple of friends. And when those hubs are in your friend group, their huge number of connections pulls the average way up. It's basically a statistical illusion. It's not really about you, but it's perfect proof that our social reality is distorted by the very structure of how we're all connected. All right, so our perception of our social world is skewed. Got it. But what if we take this idea and just take a giant leap further? What if it's not just about biology or social math? What if the simple act of looking at something could change the very fabric of physical reality? And this is where we dive into the truly bizarre world of quantum physics, where that line between the observer and the observed just completely blurs. Okay, picture this. You've got an unstable subatomic particle. If you leave it to its own devices, it's programmed to break down, to decay. It's supposed to be an inevitable event, just a fundamental process of nature. But then, scientists start watching it. They don't touch it, they don't interact with it, they just observe it, measuring it over and over and over again. And the craziest thing happens, the more they look, the longer the particle just refuses to decay. The very act of watching it seems to be freezing it in its initial state, preventing that natural change from ever happening. So this has a name. It's called the quantum zeno effect. And yes, it's a real, experimentally confirmed phenomenon. It is literally the watched pot never boils effect, but on a cosmic scale. Our observation isn't just passively recording what's happening, it's actively stopping it from happening. In this case, the observer is directly shaping the behavior of the physical universe. Wild. So far, we've seen how our minds can shape our bodies, our social lives, and even the quantum world. But what about the one thing we all try so hard to control, our own happiness? The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl put it absolutely perfectly. Happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. And that single idea is the key to our final paradox. It's called the hedonism paradox. And just think about it for a second. Have you ever gone to a party just absolutely determined to have the best night of your life, only to spend the whole time wondering if you're having enough fun yet? The more you focus on achieving happiness, the more self-conscious and anxious you get, which makes it totally impossible to just relax and enjoy the moment. True happiness, this paradox suggests, is a byproduct. It finds you when you're completely lost in meaningful work, or deep relationships, or a creative passion, not when you're hunting it down direct. So let's bring all of these different threads together, from our health to our social lives, from the tiniest particles in the universe to our own feelings. a really powerful pattern starts to emerge. I mean, just look at the pattern here. The nocebo effect, your belief can make you physically sick. The friendship paradox, your position in a network skews your whole social view. The quantum zeno effect, your simple act of observation can freeze reality. And the hedonism paradox, your direct pursuit of happiness just makes it run away. In every single one of these cases, our minds are not passive observers. They're active participants shaping the outcome.
Which, of course, all leads to one final, kind of huge, lingering question. If our internal world has this much power over our bodies, our social connections, and even the fundamental laws of physics, how much of our reality is actually fixed, and how much are we creating ourselves?